If you've been trying to become someone new from within, you're in the right place. Welcome to Your Colorful Path. This podcast brings you real proof of what's possible when you choose meditation, inner work, and self-belief. Because when you live only from the human lens, life can feel like an obstacle course. But when you align with the divine in you, life becomes a colorful path, guided, adventurous, and deeply aligned. I'm Charu, your host. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to Your Colorful Path with Charu. Before we begin today, let me ask you something. Are you doing the work, meditating, reflecting, trying to grow, and yet you catch yourself at night, spiraling, replaying that conversation you had, second guessing your choices, feeling like you're pushing, but nothing is moving? According to me, that's not a motivation problem. I have figured out that that may be a programming problem. What do I mean? Freud said that the mind is like an iceberg. The tip of it is the conscious part, a small part. Your goals, your plans, your thoughts, your intentions, your perceptions, small part of the iceberg that's visible, that we know of. But there is a subconscious part to our mind. That's the part of the iceberg that's massive and it's completely underneath the surface. Our memories, our habits, all our emotions, past experiences, learned behaviors, beliefs, emotional patterns, all of that tell us what are the rules of what's safe, what's possible, what is it that you deserve? And that part is the silent pilot of our lives. It's called our subconscious mind. And that's the programming, that's the real pilot. It's quiet, it's powerful. So what do we do about it? Well, today's episode is an invitation to look underwater. What is some of the subconscious programming that is running our life? Because as far as I've understood, that may be the very obstacle that you need to get over, and it is completely possible to overcome it. I know that meditation definitely helps overcome your subconscious programming. But like anything underneath, the more tools we have to understand ourselves subconsciously, I think the more powerful and beautiful our lives can become. And so today's guest is Sam Yemane. She is a Theta healer. Theta healing, very simply put, is a tool to rewire our subconscious programming so that any obstacle that is stopping you from living the life that you love can just be gone. And yes, it is possible to get rid of those really sticky, nasty beliefs we have about ourselves and our lives. So, without wasting a breath, let's get straight to it and welcome Sam to the studio. Sam, welcome to Your Colorful Path with Charu.
Hi, Charu. Thank you for having me. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you. And I love, love, love your voice. It's like I told you, it's like an angelic voice, and I'm sure our listeners are going to be agreeing with me.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. Well, I'll let you tell our audiences a little bit about yourself. You're joining us from Frankfurt.
Frankfurt, Germany, right?
Yeah. Please tell us
Yeah,
about what do you do?
right. So I'm a theta healer and a coach. I also do quantum healing hypnosis. So I work a lot with the subconscious mind. And my goal is it to help people heal the deep subconscious pattern that they have been carrying for a lot of time. Oftentimes people don't know that they can get rid of these things. And I help them heal and release the things that they're ready to let go of and yeah, live more from the place of as their higher self. Yeah.
Mm. So, if anyone is here who doesn't know Theta Healing at all, if you could really get into it for just a minute, because we'll get deep into it, how would you simply explain what Theta Healing is and what it does?
Right. So theta healing is an energy healing modality and it works with the subconscious mind by accessing the theta brainwave state. And I often like to call it laser surgery for beliefs because it's so precise and transformational. It's a really easy way to access these stored beliefs that have been there for ages and to let go of the emotional patterns, basically form a new identity that's more in alignment with who you truly are.
That sounds beautiful. So if you had to describe a session, walk us through like what are some of the steps or maybe all of the steps of a theta healing session?
Right. That's a good one because it took me quite some time to understand what theta healing actually is. I
Mm.
had it on my list of modalities that I wanted to learn for quite some time, and whenever I tried to, like, yeah, delve into it, what is it? It took me time to understand. But after experiencing it for the first time, I actually understood what's happening. So you basically start off with one topic, a pattern that you've been dealing with for quite some time. We use the theta state to access the subconscious mind. So we'll have you relax. Then we talk about the same topic, but we don't talk about it from the perspective of story. So we don't want to hear about the story, but we want to go beneath that, like what emotions are beneath that, and when did these emotions start? What did these emotions cause you to believe about yourself, about life? Yeah, once we have this, the core belief that everything else is based on, we find it, and then we release it. And once that belief is released, all the other beliefs that you thought were the actual beliefs, they collapse with it. And once these beliefs are gone, we download you with the things that are really helpful for you. So you can reframe the whole belief and the perspective that you used to have.
Got it. So there's a lot to unpack there, but I'll just start with the most basic question, right? Like I understand um, when we say the theta state, are you referring to the brainwave state that we talk about? Like for anybody who is new to meditation, or anyone who's listening who follows Dr. Joe Dispenza work, they probably already know the theta state, which is a dreamlike state that's right before deep sleep, right? Like where your body's falling asleep or is already asleep, but your mind feels awake. And I think that dreamlike state, very relaxed, is always to me the theta state. Do you mean like that state? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, exactly. It's when you come off sleeping, off delta, you enter into theta, and that's where you are actually at the door of the subconscious mind. And this is where you may have like the deep insights, the ability to really shift the way you think. And that's what we work with when we enter into that state.
So, for anyone who's listening who knows Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, he explains this also in great detail in his books and on his website. And you can just type up brainwave states. But for just a short summarization of all the different brainwave states, there are five. And for anyone who's listening, this is how you understand it. The state that you're in right now, which is where you're listening to this podcast, you're analyzing information, your mind is active, is a beta brainwave state. When you get into listening to music and you suddenly get lost and you're super relaxed and reflective, feeling creative while you're gardening, that's an alpha brainwave state where the brainwave state has slowed down. Your mind is not analyzing, it's reflecting and is restful. If you get into a meditation and become really, really calm, much more calmer than even alpha, where you feel like your body has started to forget that it exists. You don't really feel any of the body's sensations. Your mind is awake and you're in this beautiful dreamlike state that Sam is also talking about. That's theta. This is the state that's right before you're about to fall into deep sleep, which is called the delta state, which is like the REM sleep state, where you are deeply asleep, your body's gone, your mind is gone, you're sleeping. And then there is the gamma brainwave state, which is highly mystical, very, very high frequency brainwave state that is for problem solving and for concentration and also mystical experiences. But theta healing specifically deals with the the drowsy, dreamlike, meditative state right before REM sleep. And so, Sam, what is the significance of getting into our subconscious mind? Because I think people need to understand why should I care about my subconscious mind? Or like, what is even our subconscious mind? What is it?
Mm,
Let's start
okay.
there.
Yeah. So, what's really important to know here as well is that from the moment we're born until the age of 7, we are basically in theta most of the time. And that means we have literally no filter to the subconscious mind. Whatever we experience, whatever our caretakers tell us about us and about life, it just trickles into the subconscious mind and it becomes a truth for us. So it's very important as an adult to really look at the patterns that yeah, we have, and to really analyze like where does this come from. And theta healing is a really good modality to look at it and to link certain patterns to certain key moments in your life where you took something that someone said as truth without really analyzing it. And yeah, from 7 on to like 10, we start to develop the critical thinking skill, right? We analyze more like, is this truth? I don't think it is true. And yeah, so it's the first 7 years are so critical.
And so that makes a lot of sense, though, because when you get into the belief work and you really double click backwards on, well, I've like one of the limiting beliefs that's very common is I'm not good enough. And then if you double click backwards on why do I feel that way, it's almost always going back to a childhood wound. And
Mm.
it totally makes sense now. From 0 to 7 years old, when we're probably the most impressionable, we're in this deeply impressionable theta state very naturally. Of course, we are observing the people, the culture, the families, the parents, the siblings all around us, and just taking in information without any filter. And then
Hmm.
I feel like you're saying not only do you take the information in, we also just believe it to be true and we continue to live from that place, but it's subconscious, which means that we're not consciously saying, oh, I'm going to believe that about myself, that I'm not good enough. It's that I may believe that I'm great, but underneath there is a lurking feeling that that's not true. Is that what subconscious belief is?
Yeah, exactly. Emotions don't lie, even if you try to suppress them. They come up after time. So it's um it's very beneficial, especially if you're on the healing journey or if you're doing the inner work, you're doing the meditations, you're raising the level of awareness you carry throughout the day. It's important to also use the emotions and the things that come up as information. So it's
Mm.
not about yeah, over analyzing the things that come up and putting them on a pedestal. Like I can't advance in my career because I have this emotion. Instead of like giving it too much importance, it's important to look at it from a clear point of view and to really look at it as data. It's information that our subconscious mind is bringing to us so that we can heal it. So, yeah, instead of looking at the emotions as an enemy that needs to be suppressed, it's so much more helpful to ask what is the lesson here. And beautiful thing that I see in my sessions is um, once the lesson has been learned, once the person understands why they carried this for quite some time, it just collapses, and you can see it in the energy of the client because they they get this relief, this I don't need to carry this. I think I understand why I had to go through this, or why I chose to have this belief. So yeah, it's really important when you're on this journey to really pay attention to what you're feeling instead of just suppressing it because it's not positive thinking, so to speak.
Yeah, that's funny. It was going to be my next question. Like, how is it different from just forced positivity or like what's spiritual bypassing or the opposite end where that becomes the defining story of your life?
Mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. I think in the spiritual realm, like area of self-development, we get taught to become a new person by forgetting about the past, right? Also with the work that Dr. Joe Dispenza does, it's a very effective way to change, right? Fast. But the reality is that for a lot of people, it may be challenging to just become a new person and to stick with it, to stick with the routine, to remember, to change, to right, not believe in the old story. I've noticed that in myself as well, my own journey. That yeah, the first couple months of when I decided, okay, I'm gonna tell a new story. I'm gonna forget about my past. These are the emotions that I want to fill my life with. The beginning was very, yeah, it made sense, and I caught myself every single time. But at some point, I was like, okay, why does this keep repeating? Even though I'm doing all the meditation, I'm doing all the inner work, I'm journaling, I'm reflecting, doing all of that, but it just keeps coming back. And the moment I looked at it and looked for the lesson behind the thing, behind the pattern, I really allowed myself to give myself the space to feel it and to understand, okay, this is something that my soul came here to learn, and it's okay now. I learned the lesson. It's time now to let it go. And then I would go back to my routine of like, okay, what is it that I want to create? What emotions do I want to evoke? And when that old emotion or that old pattern would come up to the surface, I would see it and I would have a different relationship to it, because I would be like, oh, you just want to be loved. You're just that part of me that just wants the attention right now. And it's okay. We're going to do this, and we're going to move on. And these are the emotions that we want to focus on now. So yeah, that's it's a fine balance to have between creating your future, giving yourself new information, and looking at the past and seeing like what is ready to be healed.
Yeah, beautiful and powerful, in that I don't think that we need to be in either place for too long. I think if you're too much in the future, you lose the footing of the present. And if you're too much in the past, you also lose the footing of the present. While your present is really being shaped by both these timelines. But I think what is really important about what you said was to not let the story of the emotion and define you, but rather let the lesson speak to you. And I think when we look at something as what does it want to teach me, I think that's a very different vantage point than why is it happening to me? Why am I
Hmm.
feeling this? Right? Most of the times we're running away from these feelings, one, because we don't understand them. There may be no evidence in our life for why I should feel unworthy, yet I have felt some of the most beautiful, gifted, talented women feel deeply unworthy inside. And it's confusing because your conscious mind is analyzing, yo, why are you feeling this way? And so I think what you addressed before was that there could be stuff from your primitive years, early years, formative years that has impacted you, that you have absorbed from even the larger culture we live in, and accepted it as a truth. And you're operating from that layer instead of just the layer that's outside, where there's a lot of proof that everything is going fine. And so if somebody listening had this question of like, how do you even find out what your limiting beliefs are, what would you say? Or how would you actually, let's take a step back, how would you describe some of these limiting beliefs? Like, what is it?
Mm. Yeah, where to start? Because like there are tons of beliefs that we have, right? So um, I'd say like if you want to change an aspect of you, or of your life, and you know what to do, how to put in the action to change or to bring that thing into your life, you do the inner work, And when you notice, okay, there's something blocking me. Whenever I try to get better at something, or have a more successful business, get a better job, then I have this feeling come up. So it's an emotion or an emotional pattern that is on repeat. Like whenever you're at this point, you notice yourself reacting this way. And what happens oftentimes is like we over identify with the thing that's happening or the emotion. And we say, oh, that's just me. Like I always freak out when I'm about to change careers, or I'm about to receive a bigger sum from my services. And that's usually one thing that points at limiting beliefs. But basically, it's anything that causes a negative emotional response.
Okay, so I took notes. I feel like when you were talking about the something that comes up every time you're about to level up or just go past what is currently happening, it was like this image of an invisible wall
Mhm.
that I often feel like when I'm making leaps and really pushing myself. Sometimes it feels like there's an invisible wall with no explanation, rational.
Mhm.
And would it be safe to say that there is a limiting belief there that's blocking me that probably wants to be seen now?
Yes, absolutely. That's an upper limit. That's
Mm.
um, a state that the body doesn't feel safe in yet. So let's say when we take abundance, like having a certain amount of money is feels safe for me. Like this is the same amount of money that I receive every month. Once you want to achieve something higher than that, you are entering into unfamiliar territory, and it's scary for the body. The funny thing about this is the conscious mind isn't aware of this. So the conscious mind thinks, I don't know how to create that money. I think I need to put in a lot of work. I think it would be too much. I don't have time for my family then. I don't have time for my hobbies. That's what the conscious mind does. But the subconscious mind actually thinks, I don't deserve more money, or my level of expertise or the skills I have don't deserve to be rewarded in that way. And exactly. And there are certain tools that you can use to look at those beliefs. And I like the process of Byron Katie, the 4 questions of truth. It's a really good way to question the beliefs that you have, so that you don't need to take them as truth.
Oh, I'm gonna look those up. Do you happen to remember like what the things were?
Yeah. So the first question is, you ask, is this true? So if the belief is, I don't deserve to earn more money, right? If that's the belief, you ask, is this true? And you may say, yeah, for me it's true, right? It's been like this forever, and it's been like this for my parents as well. The second question is this the absolute truth? Can you absolutely say this is true? And then you think deeper and you say, I'm not sure, because I know people have achieved more money doing less than I do, right? So I think that's not the truth. And then you ask the third question, how does it make me feel to believe that? And the answer is often like, I feel miserable. I feel like I am out of control. I don't. I feel defeated. Doesn't feel good. And the fourth question is then, how would it feel to not have this belief? And that's where you enter, right, the theta state, where you think, okay, how would it feel? So you think about me, okay, I used to think like this, but how would it feel if I wouldn't have that? And you would feel expanded, you would feel inspired, you would feel motivated, you would feel like, yeah, I deserve this. Right? So
Yeah.
that's it's a really good way to shift the beliefs that you're dealing with. And then another belief that's really good to add on top of that is, what beliefs would that version of me have that doesn't have the limiting belief, right? So she would
Wait, say
think,
that again.
yeah, yeah. So the last question I would add would be like, if you were that version that would be free, that would believe that she deserves more abundance, what other beliefs would she have? What beliefs would she have around money? Would be like, yeah, I believe in the value that I bring to the world. I believe in my ability to have impact. I believe that I deserve, that is my birthright to be abundant, right?
Yeah.
I believe that things are possible for me. And I
Mm.
believe that I can achieve anything that I put my mind to.
Mm.
So
So you
that's
find
a,
friends
yeah.
of that core belief.
Exactly, exactly. And you basically reprogramming
I love
yourself.
it.
And then it's important as well to anchor that belief in, with the things that you're doing, right? As affirmations, right? Choosing affirmations that really resonate with you, not just saying these, affirmations that are just spoken but not felt. But there's a
Mm.
certain way as well to use affirmations, and then um, recording them yourself with your own voice is a completely different thing as well. And there are many different other things like meditation and, yeah, journaling to just anchor in that new state.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. There are so many things you said. I'm like, what? But I will go back to the small segment on affirmations and um, my own experience with it. And then also that I have also been told once, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do it now because you've also said this, affirmations in your own voice,
Mm,
recorded and spoken to yourself. And so some time ago, actually when I started on this meditative path, it was brought to me. I never believed in affirmations. They never felt like anything. They just felt like words.
mhm,
And I love words, but they never resonated. However, I figured out that I have my own affirmations on automatic, negative ones that
mhm,
are affirming
mhm,
some really
mhm,
horrible things, but also positive ones. That is my language. And they're not even full sentences, they're sometimes powerful two words. And they have this power to make me feel like completely different in a certain moment. And some of them are even visual images, icons, symbols
mhm,
that mean something to me. And so I was like, oh, I'll just have that. And then somebody had said to me that, you can record at night, you can record a voice memo or a voice note of all of this, as if you're talking to yourself, and record it in your own voice and listen to it right before you go to sleep
mhm.
every night. I
Yeah.
never did it, but now I'm wondering if the science behind that is because before your sleep, you're in the theta state, which is the
Yeah.
state where you can reprogram your mind really easily. I think what I understood from
Mhm,
Dr. Joe about talking about the theta state is also that your mind becomes kind of like a sponge that can just take in all the good stuff and the bad stuff,
mhm, mhm.
which is why it's probably not good to watch TV at night when you
Absolutely.
are in the theta state.
Yeah.
But if you can program in your own voice those powerful messages, now I'm
Mhm.
suddenly like, oh my God,
Mhm.
that would open up like a whole new world inside.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Your own voice carries so much power because it carries certain codes. Because it's you. This is the voice that you've been hearing all your life, right? So your cells, um, your cells listening, yeah, they're listening in on everything you say about yourself. Literally everything, right? If you keep telling them, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, then you'll be healthy. And if you say, um, yeah, well, I've been having these pains and aches, and why can't you work better, right? The body listens. And it's so also very important before saying affirmations to first get into the state, get in the right um, state of mind, and connect with, right. So I would at least be in a neutral space before saying it. But if you feel bad, like if you're on a lower scale of the emotional scale by David Hawkins, it's not really beneficial to start with affirmations that are like super high vibe. So I would say work your way up the emotional scale first, and just doing a quick meditation or some breath work before, so that you can shut off your mind just a little bit, and so that you're more receptive to new information. So once you have the right state of mind, you can find the place within you of authority, right? Of conviction, where you can speak these things out of conviction. You don't have to believe them all the time for them to work. It's just about the conviction, because you're telling your body, you're giving your body instructions. And then it's also super helpful to speak from your solar plexus, because this is when you speak, when you use the authoritative voice that yeah, is instructing and not asking, right? Can we please believe this? I'm rich. To believe me, right? So it's about, yeah, claiming that power, that personal power that you have, and speak from that place. Like, this is my reality. And then doing that right before you go to sleep, or right after waking up, it's perfect, because you're right at the door of the subconscious mind.
Yeah. And the benefit of doing that, just to recap, because it took me so much time to understand why the subconscious mind is so important, is that I always think of it as like, imagine you're in a car and you're in the back seat, and there is a driver in front of you that's driving, and you have no idea what's going on. You think you're going a certain way, but you're not. You're going here and there and here and there. So your conscious mind is the one in the passenger seat, and your subconscious mind is the driver. It's driving how it wants
Mm.
based on its stories and whatever. And you're sitting there guessing, like, I'm meditating. I decided my path. I decided what I want, my intention. Everything is clear to me. Yet the car is not going in that direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So it really takes creating peace with all different parts within us, and finding a place of authority where we, you know, what really helps, one of the biggest thing that helped me on my journey was to learn how to direct my energy, right? To learn how to navigate through these different parts. Okay, this is my subconscious mind, this is my conscious mind, this is the leader self within me that's instructing, these different parts. And to start your morning with like remembering what's going on, that you're not just going through the motions of the day, but that you set an intention for the day. Like, this is how I want my day to go. And conscious mind, I want you to do these things, right? Do these action steps so that we can move forward. And subconscious mind, if there's something important for you to, if there's something important that you want to bring up, please let me know in this way, right? And then take time aside to really have a relationship with these different parts of you, because in the end, we are the power that is deciding how to move through our lives. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's the real place of responsibility. And I I know they call it self referral in Vedic worldviews, which is that the self, you just have to look inside, and you'll find the answers. And I think what you were saying about, how did you say it? You said making peace between all the parts of us. I think that's important because I also don't want to come from an angle of victimizing or villainizing our subconscious mind. It is just part of us that is very powerful and probably just needs to be retrained with conscious awareness of what's possible for it. Kind of like a really cute dog who can be
Mhm.
trained to act as the worst behaved dog or the best behaved, loving, kind animal that it has the potential to be. I feel that the other thing you said, that I would like some clarity on, was you said when deciding the day, we can create our intention for the day, who we want to become, and all of that. That can be very consciously like, this is how I'm going to be. And then you said something about asking your subconscious mind to tell you, to give you a sign or a message of what needs to be changed. Or can you speak to that again?
Yeah. So it's all about living more from the higher self, right? So uh, if we act as a higher self and we make certain decisions, these are the things that I want to look at, these are the things that I want to work on, then you instruct these different parts to react a certain way. So the subconscious mind is would be a collective of many different parts, because in the subconscious mind there's the inner child, right, that didn't get the love and care and the attention, maybe the unmet needs that are there. And then there's also the adult self, the teenage self, right, the so many different selves within us, that because we create beliefs all our lives. We're still creating beliefs today, right now, in this moment, maybe, I don't know. But it's really helpful to look at these different aspects within us that are data stored in the subconscious mind, and to give them a microphone, so to speak, so that they can express themselves, so they can say, okay, I think I still need a bit of rest here. I need some time. I need some reassurance. I need some acknowledgement here. And then as the higher self guides you through your day, you'll find the right opportunities. You have the awareness to look for these moments when it's right for you to take a step back, to give yourself the acknowledgement or the attention that you need, and then it's time to move on. So yeah, it's just a different way of managing your the different aspects within you.
Yeah, wonderful. And if we really had to distill it down for our listeners on some of the, maybe not the most common, but well, the ones, the limiting beliefs that show up most in your work with people, without getting into like how it manifests in individual clients' lives. But what are some of the beliefs that you can share that you have found, like, oh, this, we often believe this? Like, is there 5 examples that you can share? I can definitely say that I'm not good enough
Mm.
is
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I had one that I realized through coaching work that I had, which was that if I succeed too much, I
Mhm.
will lose my relationships.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Those are very common beliefs, and then there's also this the a very common belief that I see when I work with healers. It's like it's not safe to be myself, and that's a belief that that's a core belief, right? But it expresses itself as, I'm a private person. I don't like to be seen so much. I like to be in the background. I don't need to share so much. And I don't want to cause any conflict. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. It's these beliefs. But when you start with the digging process, and yeah, you dig for what's really behind it, you get beliefs like I'm not safe to be myself, right? Or there are beliefs like about deserving good things to happen to you, right? Good, deserving abundance. And that's a belief that masks itself as something like, oh, I don't care about money so much, I don't need as much, I'm not so much of a material person, I'm more spiritual, and success isn't that important. Yeah, it's often a belief that's like money is not safe, I can't hold abundance. Yeah.
And is there a difference between the most commonly held beliefs between like women and versus men? Like, I think that our cultures are so
Mm.
different in how it treats the women and how it treats the men. And have you any experience in figuring out like, oh, this is a belief that often shows up in the masculine?
Right. Yeah. Often it's like, for men, it's I'm not allowed to show my feminine side, and for women, it's like I'm not supposed to be achieving so much. I'm not supposed to be masculine. So that's a common theme, and yeah, it expresses itself through many different beliefs, but it's basically what I've been seeing in doing this work with men and women. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because these beliefs, they don't always make sense, and they don't always come from childhood, right? These beliefs can come from our ancestors, right? From our mothers or father's line. It can come from past lives, even if you believe in it or not. Yeah, so things don't, but these beliefs don't ever always make sense.
That's interesting. So if there are a lot of skeptics listening, and they will probably roll their eyes about past lives, but let's just skip that. But let's get back to the ancestry and the lineage. Can you speak to a little bit like why would subconscious beliefs travel down the train of my family or anybody's family, or how?
Right. Yeah. So when you think about it, when you incarnate into this world, you are pure. You don't have any baggage with you. You are just ready to go and ready to explore and learn. And as I said, under the age of 7, you're just like unfiltered. You take everything in from your caretakers. So it's oftentimes the children want to please their caregivers, right? They want to be part of the tribe. So they take things on to be closer to them, to be more connected to them, to be accepted by them. And oftentimes they don't even understand what they're doing because they're in theta, basically. And sometimes they're also even motivated by healing the parent. So if the parent is dealing with a lot of issues, the child learns to, oh, I need to take care of them, right? So I take on their patterns, so they can help them, so they can give them some relief, and it's all unconscious, right?
So
So
that's like, you know, people's stories of I made an entire career in a certain direction that never resonated deeply with me, but it was like what I thought would be needed to make my parents happy or fulfilled or whatever. Is that a fair
yeah,
example that that could be it?
yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is that oftentimes it's not even their stuff. It's their parents' stuff. So it goes back several generations.
Wow, that would be interesting to get into the like how it's fascinating how your subconscious beliefs, which are part of your how you feel, what you think about, and what you truly believe to be true, must be encoded in your neurons. And I guess when people make children, pass their DNA to these children, that information is getting passed unquestioningly. And so that's the lineage. Is that a fair chain of events?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it happens. Yeah. And we inherit stuff, right? So there's epigenetics, right? We're not just made of our stuff, but like what people around us experience. And that doesn't even have to be parents. It can be people that we look up to, can be people that we're inspired by, right? So, yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. So we've figured out so far that there is this part of us that's on autopilot. It's driving our life. It can be an obstacle, kind of like an invisible wall, stopping us from living our best life. We have tools like Theta Healing and meditation, journaling, lots of other modalities that you said where you could bring conscious awareness to these subconscious patterns. But in theta healing, what is different, and how do you really make the switch? Like in a session, when somebody comes in and works with you, and I have, so I'm just asking the question so that other people get to know it. I, of course, know the whole path. But if you had to simply tell people, like, this is what really happens when you come in, could you speak to that a bit of what's that switch? How does it change?
Right. So the moment you have found the core belief, right? Not the story, not the excuse or the emotions, but the thing that's beneath it, the thing that you chose to believe as a child, right? Once we have identified that, you basically use your free will to decide, I'm not gonna carry this on to the future. And once that decision has been made, you basically open up a doorway for it to be released and rewritten, right? To be overwritten. And um, the way we do that is by downloading you with new information. So let's say if your system has never experienced what it feels like to have motherly love, to receive acknowledgement from a mother, then your, let's say, need for perfectionism will always be there because you think you equal perfectionism with acknowledgement and love, right? So once you decide, okay, I'm not going to have this pattern anymore, I'm going to release the belief I need to be perfect to be worthy, then we can download you with what it feels like to already know that you're worthy, that that's your birthright to feel this acknowledgement, this respect, to know what it feels like to be appreciated and loved. And once your system has received this information, it's like new receptors are formed in your brain, and your you're more capable to make new decisions, right? So um, yeah, we this way we install new beliefs, and of course we integrate the lesson of this. I think the heart of releasing a belief is integrating what the situation was to show you. So how is it helping you to have this belief? Because there are benefits to beliefs, otherwise we wouldn't take them on. So the child, let's say the child would take on a belief, I need to be perfect to be accepted, because it realized that whenever it behaved in a certain way, it would get the acknowledgement, right? So yeah, it's about integrating the lesson and knowing that, okay, I don't need to have this belief in order to receive the acknowledgement, the love, the respect that I deserve.
Got it. So in a session, you would first work at, and I'm grossly simplifying it just because I want somebody who's listening who's never had a session to have a picture of what it is. You would get into this theta state with you. In that state, you would talk about something is that the client may feel like is blocking them, or some area of their life where they want to see a different result. And then you dig deeper into it, and without getting into like the prehistoric history of this event, you would come up with what is happening and what you're feeling about it. And then once you've done that, you double click backwards to find the core belief that may have been, I don't know, imprinted, if that's the right word, in our system, and is stuck there deep inside under the layers. And you've now found this core belief. And my question is, if it is such a deeply held belief that has been silently running my life, then after this reprogramming that you would do, would it not resurface? Like, what do I
Mm,
have to do? And do I have to practice every day? Is repetition involved?
mm, mm.
How does it not come back? Because it's so deeply held, I feel like it's going to come back like as soon as the session is over.
That's a belief also, right? Yeah, that's a belief. A
I have
limiting belief would be.
many.
Yeah, so do I. We're human, and it's perfectly normal to have these things. And we're so used to things or healing needing to take its time, right? We don't truly believe, um, conceptually, we may believe that instant healing is possible because other people healed, but we don't necessarily think it's possible for us. So that's a limiting belief that would definitely be possible to recreate a belief. But yeah, once the belief has been cleared, it's gone. That's according to Theta Healing. But I love to, yeah, I love to use some other tools and techniques as well to really anchor in the shift because I think it's necessary. Right. So it really depends on what it is and what the client is dealing with and how this belief was shaping them. But I love to use quantum jumping to really help that person step into the new version that doesn't have the belief, and then also choosing an identity that that person relates to, that that really uh, that doesn't have the beliefs anymore. And then it's about using your free will and your creative powers to write a new story, right? Because we can do all the belief work that we want, we can do all the healing that we want, but if we don't really pay attention to the way we think, feel, and act during the day, then we'll just create more of the problems, right? Because there is no miracle for getting rid of all the things that are um, yeah, disturbing you in your life. You need to take charge of it, right? You need to make a decision. What way do I want to live? Like, what do I want to carry into my future? So you can, as I said, release all the beliefs that you want, but if you just go back to the old way of behaving, you'll just recreate new ones.
Yes. And so you casually mentioned quantum jumping, which is so cool. I've experienced it and I thought it was really powerful. So I want you to speak to it a little bit because
Yeah.
it's so phenomenal. I loved it.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I think it's so cool as well. Um, So, from a quantum perspective, we have many different versions of us, right? So, at any choice point, we are basically creating a new version of us that made a different decision and had a different result and a different experience. And as a result, they had different beliefs that were formed or different emotions. And there are versions of us that never had the issues that we have. For example, there's a version of you that created an illness, and there's a version that never ever created that illness because it had a different emotional state before, or it didn't have the same triggers, right? So it's really helpful to connect with those versions of you that you desire. You know, if your desire is to heal yourself, then connect with that version of you that never had the disease. If you want to receive more money, than connecting with that version of you that was born rich, right? How do they feel? How do they move through their life? And it's not about wishful thinking or like exiting this world into a dream state or whatever. It's something really practical, because when we have so many limiting beliefs, it's kind of hard for us sometimes to look outside the parameters of our lives and the things that we've been dealing with, and just connecting, just that process of connecting with that other version of you, it gives you so much information. Like, how do they feel? What do they think? How do they live their day life, right? And this is a very, very efficient way to embody a set of new beliefs in a very natural way. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's powerful. And I think also very, very much um, the core understanding that I feel I've developed over the years of just getting into meditation, trying different things, and finding a spiral path towards knowing that you can meditate, you can do 500 practices, all you want. But if you don't embody any of those things, if you don't change your words, if you don't change your thoughts, if you don't change your actions, nothing really changes. And I loved about the quantum, what I love about the quantum jumping technique is to one, understand that you are a multidimensional being. You are not this body. You are not just this mind. You're the universe having an experience in this body, and there are multiple versions of that. So one, I find that really interesting and sci-fi, and I love it. And then two, I think we often don't know what do we want. And so I often have that problem of like, okay, yeah, I would like a more successful work scenario, but it feels hazy. But once I really have the intention of connecting with that version of me that has that really successful, amazing, fulfilling, I am alive type of work experience, I can almost taste it. I can see how that Charu is behaving. How is she moving? And it is not huge things, it's very subtle. And I experienced it in the session with you, where I really deeply felt connected to that version. And I wanted to be her. There was this there was this possibility that now I've seen, and now I just wanted to be her. And I cannot forget that visual. It was a very simple visual, but I could not forget.
Mm,
I
mm.
cannot forget. And I think my system, like it just imprinted my system in that really deep state. And I can feel it as I'm talking to you. And it was so powerful. And I think it's going to be fundamental in me being able to move through some of the stuff I brought to the session. And so that was fabulous. And I highly recommend anyone who's listening who wants to get into a session with Sam, you have to just grab her, and we'll link all the links in the show notes. But one question that people often have is, oh, I'm not like a very advanced meditator, or I am a very advanced meditator. Is theta healing for me? Why do I need you? Is
Mm,
what you would hear from an advanced meditator, like, oh, you're outside
mm,
of me, I don't need it. And for someone who doesn't meditate too much, it's the opposite of like, oh, are you going to fix me? So
mm.
can you speak to both those people?
Yeah. Um, Yeah, one important thing you also said about I don't know what I want, that really resonated with me, because that was me for the longest time. I didn't know what I wanted, and even though I was meditating, I was deeply into into the self development world, to spiritual things, etc., I kind of had a sense of what I wanted, but whenever I would tune into it, it would feel foreign, so to speak, right? It would be like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to connect with that version of me that has these things, right? The dream life that I've always wanted, and then I would do this for a certain amount of time until I would lose the motivation. And what I understood was that it wasn't truly the things that I really desired, that I really wanted. And I think the reason why this quantum jumping aspect of the session really resonated with you was because we did some previous work in the theta healing portion before. We released beliefs that were at the core of who you are, right? Who you identified with. And once you allowed yourself to drop that aspect of the identity, right, you called you allow yourself to redefine who you truly are and allow like the true essence of you to speak to you. What is it actually that I want? Oh, I want this to be a regular thing for me. I want this essence, this emotion, and I know it so clearly with every cell of my body right now because it resonates with me. It resonates with who I truly am. And that's what these sessions do. They peel back the layers of the story, right? The how you define yourself, how you think you who you think you are, and it gives you a chance to rewrite, to really tune in and see like, who am I truly, and what is it that I want? What is it that I want? Not what is it that my society expects from me, or my family expects from me, or things I've seen on TV that I think I must want, right? So
Yeah.
it's about that. So for advanced meditators, it's about taking some time to reflect, right? Because we're so used to doing this work by ourselves, and at some point we develop blind spots, right? So we know, okay, this is an issue I need to work on. I'll deal with it, and you keep prioritizing different stuff that feels maybe more comfortable and more aligned, so to speak, in that moment. And what you ignore then is these things that you kept putting on the side, and these
Mm.
are the blind spots. And what theta healing or healing modalities in general helped me was like to work with someone who had a wider perspective that just held the space for these things to come up. Because as a practitioner, you don't tell them like, this is wrong with you, you need to look at this, but you just give them the space to slow down and to look at the things that were like, pointing at you and being like, you have time for me now? I'm here. You said you
Mm.
wanted to deal with me, so here I am, right? So you create the space, and you take away the pressure, right? You take away the pressure to perform, and you allow things to come up to the surface, to be healed, and then yeah, to have a clearer perspective on life, on who you are, so you can create for more from a yeah, more a clearer way, so to speak. Yeah.
But is it for both type of people? If somebody's a meditator or not, and they want to do a session, is it good for both of them, or would you say that maybe not? Or are there
Yeah.
any limitations to who can come for a theta healing, or who could benefit the
Yeah.
most from it?
It's basically for everyone who believes in a higher power, who believes that there are aspects of you that are allowed to be healed, right? And you need the faith in something. It doesn't have anything to do with religion, but you need to believe in a higher power, because when we work with the theta state and we do the downloads, right, we use the help of source, right, the frequency of source, universal intelligence, God, however you want to call it. And we use its assistance to show us in the session what to look at. So we're not working with the mind. We're working with the higher power as well, the guidance of the higher self, and yeah. So it's basically for everyone who wants to work on themselves, who has a thing that's been holding them back from going where they want to go.
Yeah, but I will add a disclaimer. If you think this is just for, and this is based on my experience, I'm working with Sam. Um, if you think this is going to just be like journaling, it is not. It, I think it is a much deeper level of excavation. If we are just digging things up from the earth and figuring out where is this lost beautiful temple, then you are the temple. And I think you need to dig deeper. And there are many modalities that can be very surface level modalities, important in their own right, and for the right people, right place where you are at the journey, that might be the right modality for you. But this is definitely not for you if you don't believe, like Sam said, in something outside of your analytical mind that exists. If you don't believe that there is anything outside of your analytical mind, then this may not be the right approach for you. And I don't think it has anything to do with organized religion or faith. I think it's that if you can put your attention on the nothingness around you, like we do in meditation, then you can really experience it. It becomes a more real experience than even the 3D. But if you don't want to do it, if you're not open to it, then you're not going to be able to put your attention to it. And therefore, it shall not speak back to you. So I think
Mhm.
that's important to say, maybe sometimes who it is not for. The other thing I feel is important to clarify, Sam, is do you think that the downloads um, that you help access the person in the session from their higher self, from source energy. I just want to clarify, are these messages coming through you? Is there a role that you have, or are you just being a support system in the person being able to hear what their higher self has to say to them?
Right. So the reason why this works is because every soul is um, powerful, powerful beyond measure, and we have the ability to command our reality. We can choose what to get rid of. We can choose what we want in our lives. We can choose to heal in an instant, even if we want to. The only thing that's holding us back is the limiting beliefs, right? Not fully believing in it. So, the reason why the theta healing sessions are so powerful is because you're allowing the practitioner to speak in your name, to command in your name, so to speak. So, um, the practitioner connects with the theta state, and it connects with the source frequency. And in your name, we download the things that you desire, right? And all you need to do is to accept, right? So at every point, you're asked for consent. Is this something you want? And if you say yes, you're using your free will to allow yourself to experience these things. And this way you're basically healing yourself, and the practitioner is just giving you the things that you need. And as a practitioner, you need to be connected with your higher self and with source in order to be a vessel, so to speak, to be able to see what is it that the client really needs, right? What is it that they don't see? What is a true issue behind it? and then you're basically invited into the world of the client, and you experience life through their lens. And since you're connected with a higher frequency, you know what's true and what's not, and you just scan through the person. You're like, oh, she thinks she's not worthy. Is that true? No. Source says you're absolutely worthy. You're 100% worthy. So we're gonna ask Source, okay, download that person with what it feels like to be worthy. And when you allow yourself as a client to open yourself up to receive that, what does it feel like to be worthy? And this is my moment now. This is the moment I allow myself to feel it. I'm allowing myself to detach from the story that I'm not worthy anymore because someone told me so when I was 4. And that's where true healing takes place, because you're giving yourself permission to do this, to rewrite the story, so to speak. Yeah.
Got it. And then, so what would be the um, proof or the signal that a certain new belief has been installed? Like after the session is
Mhm.
over, tell us a little bit about what happens after, if there are any practices to follow, and how to know if something has changed. And maybe share an example or two of the cool
Mhm.
stories.
Yeah. So since you're downloaded with new information, these new receptors in your brain, new neural pathways formed, you actually get up from the session with the intention to, yeah, with the knowing that you're healed. So life will present its challenges to you, and usually the first thing that people say is like, ooh, I feel lighter, and I don't feel like I need to have the same reaction around the same topic anymore. For me personally, the first 1 or 2 sessions, I didn't even understand what was happening. It was just a moment when I thought back to the limiting beliefs that I had and the issue that I had, that I noticed, oh, I don't have that anymore. I totally forgot that I used to do that thing. So it's just you notice it by little things, and sometimes it's huge things. Sometimes symptoms just immediately go away, like people saying, like, I don't have these headaches anymore that I used to have. Or you know what, I totally feel confident now to release this program that I was planning to do, that I was scared of doing, like, the last couple of years. It's these things, right? And they accumulate over time. So it's it's a matter of, for me, these moments are very special. The moment, those aha moments. Oh, okay, it was so easy to get rid of that thing. So what else can I get rid of? So it really empowers you to address the things that you've been scared of for the longest time. But personally, because I come from that Dr. Joe background, I'm so into, like, I'm into the practical things. Like, what do I do? How do I live my life? How can I use this to enhance my life? And I I really tune into that version of me that has healed that belief, and I live from that place, and I allow myself to connect with that version of me that has that and even more. So the way I go through my day to day life is like, okay, it's done. That belief is done. So what else? What else can I do now that this is gone? So yeah, it really empowers you to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah. And I would like to point that for anyone wondering if this is just wishful thinking, it is not, because like Sam, you said, it is really about connecting to that version, which means that you are emotionally aligning yourself with the version of you that already has and is living that best life that you would like right now. You're connecting to it, you're feeling their emotions and feeling their life. I understood after a lot of study why that is. And I read somewhere that our subconscious mind does not distinguish between what's real and what's imaginary. So, any experience that I can vividly imagine and feel the feelings of it, it thinks that it's real. And so, to change our life, really, like Dr. Joe sometimes says, you really have to just understand that, change the program, feel the feelings of that version, quantum jump to that version, feel the feelings of that version, and the subconscious mind can't tell that you're just visualizing it and feeling it, becoming it in the mind, and it directs your physiology to now make that your reality. And that's how it happens. Once I connected those dots, I'm like, oh, this is so powerful to just understand, like, all the dots connect.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And yeah, one thing I also learned from doing this work is like getting rid of the beliefs that are holding you from truly believing into the version, in that version of you that you truly want to become. It's a whole different thing to get rid of these beliefs and then connect with that version again, because you connecting from an authentic place and not from a wishful thinking place. Like um you actually believe, you start to believe this is possible for me, I can become that person, like I am that person, right? So it's really cool.
Yeah. For anyone listening, what would be a simple daily practice to maybe find some of their limiting beliefs and then also reprogram them if they can't
Mhm.
do a session yet, or they don't feel ready for a session with someone else, and if they just wanted to do some self work? What would be some ways of just first finding some really limiting self beliefs, and two, reprogramming them?
Right. So if you have a challenge or something that you've been working on, I'd say take some time to write down all the limiting beliefs you have around that, all of them, and they don't need to be perfect. So just to have a place where you put and you dump all of it in. And then I would say scan through them and go within and try to connect with the subconscious mind and ask, like, what is the core belief here? Like, what is the one belief? If that belief is addressed, then all of the other beliefs wouldn't be relevant. That is the yeah, that's the quality a core belief has. So yeah, I'd do that process, and then once you have that belief, I would use the Byron Katie's 4 questions of truth, because they're
Yes.
really effective. Asking, okay, is this truth? Is this belief that I have, is it true? And then the second question is, can I absolutely know that this is true? And the third question being, how does it make me feel to believe that? And then
Hmm.
the next question, sorry, would be, um, who would you be without that belief, right? Who would be that person? And then ask yourself, like, if I was that person, what are some positive beliefs that that person has instead? Yeah,
That's the
I
fifth
do
one that
that.
you add to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's an important one, the last one. And then
Mm.
anchor that new identity in, anchor the new beliefs in. Find your way, be it journaling every morning, setting intentions in the morning, like this is who I want to be. I want this part to react this way and this part to be acting this way. And um
And maybe some
record
affirmations in your own voice,
exactly. Exactly.
like we spoke about.
Record your own affirmations, absolutely. And I know also there are like a lot of meditations out there that are helpful with releasing beliefs as well. I know Dr. Joe has one that's called Changing Beliefs and
Changing beliefs.
Perception. Yeah,
Yes.
it's good. It's
Absolutely
really good.
exceptional.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, those are
Right.
great pointers. I bet I think I'm going to do the affirmations with the voice thing. Um, that sounds really powerful to me. Also, a little bit vulnerable because
Mhm.
we have a strange relationship with our voice. I know mine has changed over
Mm.
the years. Um, to from I can't really hear my voice to I'm okay with it. I'm not
Mm.
totally in love with it, but I think I am in love with it. Actually, I'll change it. I like
Yeah.
I'm at
I
peace with
love.
my voice.
Yeah, it's a good
And
exercise
so,
as well to just start try to fall in love with your voice because it's you. It's a reflection of
yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely. My God, I have I completely lost track of time. We are way beyond it, but I really have to tell the listeners that you have this amazing story of finding this sacred calling. If in short, you can tell them how life brought you, or you brought yourself actually, to
Ooh.
Theta Healing, that would be great.
Well, yeah. Well, I always knew that I wanted to heal people as a child, right? So I wanted to become a doctor. When people ask me, I always told them I want to be a doctor. I want to heal people because for me, healing people would mean being a doctor, helping people in a hospital or whatever. Um, but then, like later on, I realized, oh, okay, the medical system is not really designed to heal root causes, and it's just like about treating symptoms, and it didn't resonate for me. So I pushed that dream to the side. I looked into psychology, and I was like, no, I don't want to listen to like bad stories all day because I was like always empathetic, and I didn't choose that path either, and I studied something completely different. And the reason why I chose to study something different was because I gave up on that dream somehow to heal people. And I was lost for years. I wasn't sure what my purpose was. I didn't really have any real hobbies except for like learning more about self-development and spirituality. Um, and yeah, but I always had that burning question, like, what am I supposed to do here? I feel there's a deeper calling here. And the moment I discovered Dr. Joe in an interview where he talked about his retreats and people that were able to heal themselves from like very serious conditions through meditation, I was like, wait, what? What are you telling me? I was meditating by then, right? But I never would have thought that meditation or the mind could actually heal something physical. And I did the meditations, it changed my life. I started to embody more of the teachings, what I was learning. And at some point, I went to a retreat of his. And I went there with the intention to find out, like, what is it that I came here for? What is it that my soul truly wants? And I had this amazing meditation where I was really connected and felt the energy around me. And I asked that question, like, what am I supposed to do here? And I received the answer that I'm supposed to do what feels most natural for me, and I should follow the things that inspire me. And I had so many interests back then. Like I had a list of modalities that I was inspired by that I wanted to experience as a client, but not as a practitioner because I had a list of like limiting beliefs. Like I can't do this. This is too hard. Like who can I help? It's like I'm so small, right? I'm afraid of the world, and that actually kept me from stepping into what was possible for me. And um yeah, and that's where I like after retreat I went back home, and a lot of things shifted just from attending the retreat. My life was turned upside down, and I was still committed to explore that, to know what it is that I'm here for. And I learned those different modalities one by one, and they just like it was just so synchronistic because it was basically all of the tools that I needed to really have that transformational effect with my clients. And I remember that moment after a session where it was a really good and deep session, my first real deep transformation that I had. And the shift that I noticed in the client's face was just so fulfilling. It was so satisfying. It was, I felt areas in my heart that I never felt before. And I was like, whew, okay, that must be fulfillment. That must be like, I'm on the right track here.
Yes.
So the reason why I tell the story is because I know there are like so many people who feel something similar. Like they know they're here for a certain reason. They haven't tapped into their power yet, right? And it's so easy to just keep moving forward and forgetting about these things and saying, I have time, you know, when I retire, I can do this thing that really interested me forever, right? Because it seems
Yeah.
impossible. It seems impossible. And I think it's so important to know that what's behind that are limiting beliefs is not true. Right? It's those
Mhm.
limiting beliefs. And the price you pay for not following your calling is high, is like regret. You know, that's the number one thing that people say, like people who have near death experiences, for example, they say, oh, I regretted that I didn't step into my power. I didn't know, like I
Mm.
didn't give myself the time to explore who I truly am. And that's why I
Yeah.
think it's so important to like go within and ask, like, who am I? Like, what is it that I want to bring to this world? Like, what should I dedicate more time to? And yeah,
Mm.
that's my story.
That's amazing. And the reason I wanted every listener to hear your beautiful story is because I always feel like life becomes a colorful path if you listen to the guidance within and come up with the courage somehow to follow that guidance. It really becomes a colorful path, and it is beautifully aligned with your highest self, and it feels good to do that. And it may not be a very comfortable journey to finding that colorful path, but it becomes really aligned, and then you're fine with even the uneven terrain and the many unknowns that happen, because you feel deeply that this, I'm doing what I was born for. And I hear that in your voice, in your alignment. So thank you very much for sharing it with us, Sam. I wish I could keep you here for 3 more hours. This has been this has been amazing. I love all the different things we have explored about limiting beliefs, about theta state, about conscious, unconscious mind, and I think it's your voice and the clarity with which you speak that really makes it really easy and safe to approach this. So I will link all your links in the show notes. But for anyone who wants to work with you or wants to chat with you, what's the best place to find you?
Right. So the best place would be my website, soulworkhealing.com, and my Instagram, soulwork.healing. And yeah, that's a good starting point. If you want to explore a one on one session, I'm here. I love to work with people who, yeah, want to work on themselves, who believe that they have the ability to live their best life, to let go of the things that are holding them back. So, yeah, if you feel the call, feel free to reach out.
Yes, and I highly recommend that they do. But thank you so much for giving me the time, your presence, and so much beautiful knowledge about this beautiful modality that I had no idea about. And now that I have experienced it, I definitely can say that it is quite profound. And thank you for sharing all of these good things with us on your colorful path.
Thank you so much, Shara, for having me and for creating this beautiful platform where people can explore these concepts and learn more about what's out there. So, thank you so much for being a vessel for that and for showing up as your highest self and for having me here. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Well, that's today's conversation with Sam. If there is one thing I hope that you are taking with you, it's that if you've been doing the work and you feel stuck, you're not failing. It usually just means that there is something underneath that's still running the script. The real shift, though, I've learned, only starts when we stop trying to force new outcomes and start getting curious about, like Sam said, the lesson underneath the pattern. So here's a question to sit with. What's one area of your life where you keep trying, and what you might be believing quietly that's keeping it in the place and in the state that it is? I'll repeat it. What's one area of your life where you keep trying, and what might you be believing quietly that's keeping it in that same place or state? If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who's on their own journey of transformation. And if you want more, please check out the show notes. All the links to Sam are there. I will also link Byron Katie's 4 questions and a lot of other good stuff. Feel free to subscribe, send us a message, let us know what resonated. If you're enjoying the podcast, please share it with people. You can be a divine messenger for somebody's message that really needed to be heard today. So hit subscribe, follow us, send me a message, and keep finding your colorful path. Thank you for being here today. If this episode resonated, share it and be the reason someone chooses growth today. You can watch the video episodes on YouTube or audio episodes anywhere you get your podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave me a colorful comment. If you have follow-up questions or topics you would like me to explore, please visit me on divineamuleto.com. Link is in the show notes. As always, thank you for being here with me. Until next time, keep choosing your colorful path.